they're absolutely set up to fail. And then what happens is Big Pharma steps in and they give them this shield against the addictive foods, quite literally. So these GLP-1 drugs impact the pleasure center of your brain, hence the concept of quieting the food noise, right? So I have a friend who has a very high-stress job, high-stress life, and when things get crazy, he would always go to his little bakery and get a donut and a cookie or whatever and a coffee, and it would calm him down. It's designed to be that way. The food triggers these happy chemicals in your brain. It's like smashing the heck out of that dopamine center on purpose, designed to do so. A team of multidisciplinary scientists that engineer your environment, commandeer the narrative, construct the food to trap you. And when you're vulnerable, they're going to get you. They've gotten 74% of the friggin' country. These are not 74% of our American adults that are just weak and apathetic and stupid. So then Big Pharma comes in and they know how to impact that exact center of your brain. And my friend who started taking these drugs, he's like, it's crazy. I just don't want that cookie. And I'm thinking, this is such a shame though, because that has its own horrendous set of side effects. And the reality is that we do need to take agency. We do need to want change. We do need to try to make the better choice more often than we make the bad one. We need to focus on sleep. We need to move more often, all of those things. But we also do need our government to support us. And I appreciate people love the, I want less government. I want less government. Put that in your industry and I don't understand. I go, great, wonderful. In my industry, Big Ag doesn't want less government. Big Food doesn't want less government. Nor does Big Insurance, nor does Big Pharma. In fact, they get the government to work on their behalf. They lobby them. They donate to their campaigns. We need the government to work on our behalf and not permit this kind of crazy. So it's a combo approach of the government working for us, which we're seeing now with Kennedy's HHS, and us simultaneously taking agency.
Okay, I want to talk more about obesity and I want to follow up on GLP-1s, but let's just lay a little more groundwork. Okay, 75% of Americans are obese or overweight. I also have wondered if that is a sliding scale, a little bit like poverty. That is a metric based upon a government definition of poverty, or in our discussion here, overweight or obese. Either government or medical association definitions of overweight or obese. So I wonder sometimes who that includes. So, sitting there across the glass from you is Two-A-Days Dan. I'm not trying to call out Two-A-Days Dan. I'm sure he won't appreciate this, and I'm not asking you to diagnose him or suggest. Patrick's in California. Me, I'm right here, I've got a little extra. Like, what? I just call myself fat-faced.
You're not.
And I'm certainly not as lean as I want to be. But what is overweight? What is overweight? Like if 3/4 of us are in the category, what does that look like? I know what obese looks like. Yeah. I know fat. What is overweight?
Traditionally, it's a number on a body mass index scale. But you bring up a great point, right? Because then it becomes, well, what's the right weight? And people can go dangerously in the wrong direction of that. The right answer is what your blood work looks like at your yearly doctor's office visit. So what is that number? It has to do with body mass index. Can that number be wrong? Sure. In other words, is it taking into account lean mass? No. So, maybe you've heard back in the day, Arnold Schwarzenegger would have been considered as obese based on the body mass index. He is an outlier though. That is not the norm. It does tend to be relatively accurate for the average bear. Having said that, if you look at how many people are on at least one prescription drug by the age of 40. I can't remember the number exactly, but it's staggering. And if you look at the fact that infertility is at its highest in human history, like you can't argue with that. If you look at the fact that, as I mentioned, early onset cancer diagnoses are up 79% in 20 years. And one of the things they love to do is go, well, we're just, when you talk about autism, mind you, this has been debunked, we're just diagnosing it better. That's not true. The Brain Institute at UC Davis determined that we have in fact had an exploding increase in cases of autism, and it doesn't have something to do with just better diagnoses. But cancer, you have cancer. You're not going to misdiagnose it. Ultimately, someone's going to die of cancer. So the bottom line is these numbers are quantifiable. So if we just put aside forget it. Forget obesity. Obesity really wouldn't matter. That's someone's own personal private business, and beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The reason it is relevant to this conversation is because it is associated with 170 comorbidities, all of which have skyrocketed over the past 2 decades.
What does associated mean? Like correlation, causation?
Bingo.
I'm asking these questions. Here's an interesting thing, Jillian. So I was just, reading about you, and I've known each other a little bit. We've been on air together quite a few times, but I was just reading about you. And by the way, didn't know you were overweight.
Yeah.
Like what? Until you were 13?
Well,
13, is that what it was? Or 14?
I started trying to get healthy at 13, but at 13, I was about 175 pounds at my heaviest, and I'm 5'2" today.
And you're like 5'3".
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I like to claim the extra inch on my driver's license, but it's really debatable. Like if I quite make it to 5'3". Having said that, at 13, I was probably 5 feet, 5'1". I'm about 115 pounds now, so it's a third of my body weight, 2 inches shorter. And I was a victim to everything that you and I are talking about. And fortunately, I had a very aggressive and involved mentor in my martial arts instructor who made it his mission to turn my life around, and I'm grateful. But it took a couple of years, actually, and it's been an ongoing, evolving process of understanding how to optimize longevity and all of that. But the stuff you and I are talking about is really simple. Now, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's really simple. Eat whole food, move more, focus on your sleep, drink your water, manage your stress. That stuff's hard, but it's really simple. You don't need some sort of magic fad diet.